All aboard for the flight through eternity. We are back with Fugitive of the Daleks, a six-part First Doctor adventure where we see the First Doctor reunite with an older Vicky. It's become a recent trend for Big Finish to have Doctors revisit their old companions. We've had it with the Second Doctor, the Third Doctor. It's not a new trend. It almost makes you feel like we're sort of leading up to a big box set where the Doctor drops all the companions off in a retirement home. But let us dive in to Fugitive of the Daleks, shall we? Right.
Yes, and this is something we've been asking for quite a while, isn't it? Not only is it a Dalek story for the first Doctor Adventures, but also a six-parter, because it's something that Big Finish has been doing more and more recently, I feel. Perhaps with
Hmm.
the shift to the 3 disc box set, they found that they can make use of this more long-form storytelling format. And I'm all for that because it has
Yeah.
given us some great things, particularly Third Doctor Adventures, as they've now shifted away from, two 4 part box sets to one 6 or 7 part box set. And here it's happening with the First Doctor Adventure as well, written by Jonathan Morris, who is very much channeling the chase here, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I think it's more of a celebration of the chase and Dalek's master plan in terms of Dalek stories, I would say.
Hmm. Although it has sort of got its ties and callbacks to both within there.
Hmm.
Uh, but that is, something that Big Finish does a lot of the time anyway, isn't it? I mean, particularly with these 60s Dalek stories, the Daleks has had a sequel or two. The Dalek Invasion of Earth has certainly had its fair share of sequels and even prequels.
Yeah.
So Dalek's Master Plan has had Syndicate Master Plan following it up. I
Hmm.
mean, Dalek Universe, you could kind of argue
Yeah.
is a Dalek's Master Plan to follow up, and I'm
Yeah.
sure there's others out there as
Doomsday.
well. Yeah,
Uh,
but
the
here,
chase is getting some love, which
yeah,
is great, and I
hmm,
love the chase because it's a nice little fun Dalek comedy, and if you treat it as a comedy, you'll have a whale of a time. And this is a very different approach to it.
hmm. It's
To
got its comedic moments as
episode
well.
four, yeah, episode four definitely is that. It's a
Yeah.
choice. It's a
Hmm.
choice. Um, episode four feels more like a bit of a two Ronnie sketch, that sort of police box section, really. Um,
Yeah. Can't say I was the most overjoyed when that bit came along.
yeah,
But certainly for the earlier part of this story, it is a chase through time and space again with the Doctor and an older Vicky being pursued by the Daleks, going to quite a few locations. You got a space station in orbit around a dying star. You have this little underground kingdom and the Battle of the Little Bighorn. A bit of a slice of history in there. And they all serve a purpose once you get round to the latter half of episode 4 and, parts 5 and 6, when you realize what this story is really going for, which we can't
yes,
really talk about because, it would spoil it. And we don't want to do that because I think this is one you want to go into not knowing quite where it's going. You've got Dodo in there as well,
hmm
somehow.
yes,
Uh,
yes.
I mean, she's
Um,
there on the cover. It's not a spoiler. Lauren Cornelius back once again, doing a wonderful job as Dodo Chaplet.
and her and Maureen O'Brien, I wanted more of those too. You feel like there should be
Hmm.
another story afterwards of them, but obviously thematically with what it's doing with Vicky going, well, you don't need the Doctor now. There's other people in your life who need you more.
Hmm.
I think this is a thing with this story. There's so many great sort of thematics within it with the character beats. I think this is a great a story.
Yeah.
Um,
And I do much prefer this almost school reunion style approach to bringing back an older companion rather than say what they've done with Jamie or Joe in the second and third Doctor Adventures, where it's literally just picking up with them again
mm,
and going off on travels. In some cases, like, to almost have that ending of the story never ends.
yes.
It's almost just giving them a, you know, off into the sunset moment with their doctor.
Yeah.
But I much prefer this where we get an actual goodbye within it. That is the style of story I prefer. And I think it allows for a very strong performance from Maureen O'Brien as well.
Yes. Very good work by her.
Yeah, who's arguably the star of this one, really.
Well, it's very much her story, isn't it? Really.
It is quite centered around her for reasons that become clear as she progressed through. That's not to undersell Stephen Noonan at all as the First Doctor. He gives a brilliant performance here, particularly certain moments in episode 4 where he gets to take the Doctor to some unusual places that were never gone to on screen with Hartnell.
Mm.
And I was really into what was going on there, both from his performance perspective and also in terms of what the script was going for there, how existential it was getting. I think I love all those questions of identity that come up there. I think you'll have to listen to work out exactly what I am going on about there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the end of episode 5, I thought that was Bill. It was very
That was
uncanny.
Wonderful.
We know how much hard work, Stephen puts into these releases, and I think it really does show.
Oh, it definitely does.
Within this one, I think that he's giving very different performances, because this story, there's a lot of him within it, as you would expect.
It's one that demands a lot of him as an actor, and he rises to the challenge.
More than rises, he absolutely excels with every little bit within it. It's wonderful. I think having the Daleks there, I think it's put a lot. It's probably put this range on the map for people now, and I think that the First Doctor is the Doctor of the Daleks. That is the First Doctor's monster, and I think that this release, it is a celebration of the Hartnell era. I think it encapsulates everything what makes the Hartnell era so magic and special. But it's showing the scale the show had. With the little budget it could do and what it can achieve. I think this story shows that.
I agree.
With the world hopping, and it's lovely.
Yeah, it certainly goes to a few interesting places. I don't know if it would have made, maybe cut out one or two of those locations, tighten up a bit, and it could have made a stronger 4-parter though.
Yes, I think.
My only thing.
As much as we love we love long form.
We asked for a 6-parter.
Yeah,
we brought this upon ourselves, really. But it was funny. Could have made a better 4-parter.
Yeah, I do agree that it probably would have been a pacier 4-parter, and I think what you kind of miss within it is sort of the urgency of the Daleks are on their trail. I think if you sort of streamlined it, you'll probably still get to enjoy the setting, but also have that bam, the Daleks are on their tails constantly and biting their heels.
Yeah, that's one of the things that this had going against it. But I mean, Stephen Noonan isn't the only one who's given a different kind of performance in this one. Nick Briggs gets to do the same as well. I think there's something going on with the Daleks within this as well that makes them a little bit different to the norm. And makes it quite amusing as well. It is sort of channeling the chase Daleks again, not going quite that extreme into the comedy realms, but sort of dancing closer to that border than they usually would on Big Finish.
You've got like the David Graham Dalek there, which is great. You've got sort of a nice little bit of Dalek comedy, sort of a Dalek reporting its failure, but it's not that Dalek's fault, but you've got to report it to the Supreme Dalek because, the task lead. It's very sort of the Daleks to apprentice in a way, but you've got to talk to Alan Sugar because you failed the task, but even though you weren't the task leader.
There's more of a back and forth between the Daleks, isn't there? They've got their own personality.
Yeah.
But they're still Daleks. And I love that. I loved scenes like the one you get in Daleks in Manhattan, or technically Evolution of the Daleks, where the 2 Scar members are talking in the sewer.
Yes.
Talking smack about Dalek Sec.
Yes.
Moments like that where the Daleks aren't just one hive mind. They do have their own. They are their own individual creatures within their shells,
Mm.
ultimately. And yeah, I quite like how that's brought out in this story. I mean, yeah, but to be fair, the Daleks aren't in it as much as you'd expect for a six-parter, though.
No, no, you feel like you'd want a bit more Dalek action within it. And there are moments where you feel like you're gonna get it, like the Battle of Little Bighorn. You think, oh, right, this is gonna be pretty epic. And then Daleks is like, nah, we're gonna go back to. But there's a reason why they go back to their ship. Um,
Yeah, it
all
all
becomes
makes
clear.
sense in the end. But yeah, certainly I feel like maybe we didn't have to plant so many seeds on the lead up to it.
Mm.
I mean, interesting instant, the story before this in the previous box set, the Demon Song, did end on a cliffhanger for those who listened to that one of the First Doctor vanishing after they solved that particular case. And then that's not necessarily followed up on here. It's all like it's there. You have an
Yeah.
explanation as to what's going
But
on.
there's some. I feel like we're missing something in that middle. Whether it's he went off to the Three Doctors or something like that, or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, you sort of get it's a bit of an awkward exposition dump as to what exactly is going on without actually telling you anything. It feels like it's a story that should be slotted in somewhere later,
It almost
like
feels
slotted into this.
like because we know that in the second Doctor Adventures, the Time Lords can pluck out any Doctor for the mission. So it feels like, are we going to get a crossover between first and second in season 6B? And
Yeah, it's
that
like
will slot in?
yeah, it's like is that what we're building towards? But I'd say it feels odd to have waited nearly a year and then to not really be any closer to any answers.
Hmm.
I think that's all again the issue of having one box set a year.
Yeah, because
But
I
again,
think we definitely need two box sets a year.
yeah, and I think it's earned that place. Although I think it's sort of partly down to the workload as well, isn't it? Because Nick
Hmm.
Briggs is doing this for Doctor and Second Doctor Adventures. There's only so many scripts he can edit, stories he can direct, and
Yeah.
things he can produce within that time, without the quality dropping. So I can understand why, from that perspective, they may want to stick to the one box set for now. As much as I think everyone involved has earned a second box set a year.
Mm.
Uh, but I mean, just from that perspective of doing an ongoing arc, it does feel a bit odd to leave that hanging for a year and then
Yeah.
not really do anything with it, just to leave it hanging for another year.
Yes, because this story it ends on an utterly bonkers note.
Which I
Not
don't know how to feel about.
Oh, I love it. I was like,
I,
well done. That was I didn't expect it, but fair play. It was utterly bizarre. But I'm here for it. And I almost feel like you needed another scene afterwards to lead into wherever we're going next.
for me, it almost felt more like a step too far. It's a
All
bit
right,
like,
okay.
I get what you're going for, but I don't feel like everything needs an explanation. I feel
Hmm.
like that was just better left as. Well, we can't really say because that'll spoil it, but yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah.
did love the end credits though. Like, if you're not someone who sticks around to listen to those, it's worth giving them a listen this time because there's something quite special about how they're done for this story.
Yeah, that is very special. Very
Mm.
special indeed.
Yeah. I mean, rating out of 10 for Fugitive of the Daleks?
I'm gonna go with nice solid 8 out of 10.
Ah, I'll meet you just below that and go a 7.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Because I think once it got beyond halfway through part 4, or about halfway through part 4, things really clicked.
Mhm.
And I love what Maureen O'Brien and Stephen Noonan get to do together in those sections.
Yes.
And where it goes after that is quite exciting. But yeah, like I say, it could have made for a really strong 4-parter had you sort of streamlined the first 4 parts a little bit more. And maybe some of 5 and 6 as well. But on the whole, I did have a great time with this one. I enjoyed all the twists and turns it went on.
It's a story that keeps you on your toes, and it's one I think will definitely benefit re-listening, sort of picking up on
Mm,
the little details when you get to the later end of the story where you're like, okay, that links to that bit. Um,
yeah, because it does all tie together quite neatly. There is a purpose to all the different tangents it always feels like you're going on at first. It does all lead to places. I just sort of wish it was more interesting while going on those tangents.
hmm.
Yeah, that is our thoughts on Fugitive of the Daleks.
Spoiler free as possible.
Mm, yeah, hopefully we've not ruined anything for anyone there
uh,
because it is worth going in as blind as possible and
yeah,
just enjoying the ride, enjoying those reveals. Because certainly I got caught out by a couple and was like, wow, that is genius. I can't wait to
yes.
see how they explain this in the next part. Uh, yeah, so and particularly part five did leave me
Hmm.
with a little smile on my face.
I
Uh,
think that it's definitely worth checking out. I think that it's Stephen Noonan's best work. We said
hmm,
in Demon Song that it felt more relaxed, more effortless, and I think here again, it's very much becoming second nature now. With it
which is
all,
just something that will naturally happen over time. The more
yeah.
he plays this
Um,
role, the more anyone plays any role.
Lauren Cornelius, like I say, does a great job. I still think Demon Song's probably her strongest work, but that's because
Mm,
the story's allowing her to do more.
yeah,
This is Vicky's story, and like we say, Maureen O'Brien is, you know,
she
very
excels in
much,
this one.
yeah, does a marvelous job of it all.
Perhaps her best performance ever in the role.
Yeah, or the crash of that early adventure in series five.
Oh, yeah, that is
That's
a
a
very good one.
really
Yeah,
good one for Vicky as well.
yeah. Certainly, when you give her some weighty emotional stuff, Maureen O'Brien really rises to the challenge.
And I think that's where the story excels in those sort of quiet chamber piece moments.
Hmm. I mean, that is particularly why I love, the latter half of part four, what
Yeah.
that's going for. Yeah. But anyway, if you've listened to Fugitive of the Daleks, then please let us know your thoughts in the comments below. The first box set from Big Finish of 2024 is out done. It's out the way.
Yeah, we've done it. We've got another, what, 14 to go?
Well, that's just of the classic Doctors.
Yeah, of that relaunch
Who knows how
bundle.
many we've got in total?
But
Uh,
we're off to a good start. Off to a good start.
yeah, 2024's looking pretty solid so far. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the
Uh,
ride with Big Finish.
yeah.
If you've
We
enjoyed the ride of this review, please do leave a like and subscribe for more. We'll be here all week, all day, all year.
and speaking of Stephen Noonan, I assume this video is going out before this video, so I'll plug it.
I mean,
Um,
it works either way round.
it works either way. But we were very fortunate to spend an evening with the great First Doctor himself, Stephen Noonan, and the Daleks, Nicholas Briggs, to talk about Day of the Daleks. So we've got a full discussion on Day of the Daleks, tangents, coming out very soon. It's something we're very proud of,
Oh, it
and
was a wonderful evening.
it was a great evening had by all. And you know, check it out when it comes out. It is happening, and it is
Yeah,
great
it
stuff.
is all recorded. We're just making sure it's right for release.
We're making it the best we possibly can. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's going to be worth the wait. It's going to be worth the wait.
Mm.
But
Thank you
yeah,
all for watching.
bye
We'll
bye.
see you next time.